So mapping out your instruction manual. Now here's the deal. We never write until the research is completely done. Repeat after me. We never write until the research is completely done. If you mix the two, you're going to get lost, and it's either going to take you forever to complete the content, or it's going to be so big, no one wants to read it. So I work by batching tasks. Now here's my process. After I get a good idea of who the audience is, and I've done the research, and I sort of know what I want to talk about, this is my creation process. I have the idea, I map it. From the map, I do my research and I save it to Evernote, and then I start writing. I do not mix any of these. Yep, Keith, for sure. Now, I do everything I possibly can to finish writing in one sitting. Okay? Every time I possibly can to finish in one sitting. So here's what you do. Please listen to me. When I get to the writing process, I turn off my phone, I turn off Skype, I turn off Instant Messenger, I turn off Facebook, whatever it is, I turn them all off. I lock myself in a room and I pretend that I'm recording live and I can't stop. And if I stop, I'm going to lose the whole thing. All right? That's how I work. A lot of times I will write in the middle of the night, so there's no possible chance anybody's going to interrupt me. So, when I map a product out, this is what it starts to look like. I use a tool called MindNode. Doesn't matter if you use MindNode, you just need to use a mind mapping software. You don't need to complicate it. Pictures are not important. It just needs to be able to fan out like this. I'll show you this in a minute. The front legs here, what are those? MindNode. The front legs, chapters basically, right? Or big sections, modules, whatever. Big chapters. So the introduction opens it up. This is the first thing you got to do, which leads to this, which leads to this. Now, what is it within these chapters? What are these little things within these chapters? Those are like our subsections, right? So you want to see me do one live? You want to do one live? Okay. Let's do it. So this is sort of what it looks like before you start. No more. All right. This is what it looks like before you start. So let me see here. What would be a really good topic for a book that we could put together? And I'm just going to top of my head something that I've done recently. Let's do. How about creating and selling a product? Because that's what we're kind of doing here, right? So let me show you how I map things out and get things ready for research before we even get started. So to start, I have an introduction. So we got that. This is how I do it every time. From there, I've got chapter 1, how to get your head right. Now, I'm in the middle of creating this product, obviously, so this is pretty easy. From there, chapter 2. What's chapter 2 in this book of ours? For those paying attention. Make sense? See if I can zoom this for you guys a little bit. Looks familiar, doesn't it? So we got that. What's chapter 3? Okay. Chapter 4. How about that? Chapter 5. What do you think? Good step by step? Now, I can make that as big or as small as I want it. Let me ask you something. What is this sort of a big product? Am I maybe covering too many things here? It depends, right? Depends on how much I'm putting in. Now, obviously, this is a big sort of product to actually create. This is not where I would start. I would start with just being like, here's how to create sales pages. Is that enough for a product? What do you think? Yeah. How about how to get targeted traffic? Is that enough for one product? Yeah. Okay, so this is where I start. Now, this is going to get really interesting real quick. Introduction. Let's talk about this. Who I am, my struggle, how I overcame it, what we're covering. Pretty good, right? Starting to see how this fans out. Okay, so with this one, how to get rid of distractions. How to set a goal for your business. No, Steven, you're good. Everybody follow me so far? Okay. So we get into this. Dialing in your audience. Let's start with, let's actually call finding out who your audience is. And then from that point, we go to tools you use to collect information for research. And we get into rules for a good product. How to pre-map your product for research. Now, it's not everything, but I think you guys get the idea here. So let me ask you something. Are there some things in here that you think I had to research before today? Even though I do this all the time, are there still some things that I probably had to research before today? Not a lot, but there's probably at least one, right? Okay. So let me ask you something. with this particular thing here, do I start writing and research as I go, or do I go in and I research as we get going? So let me show you what I do, and hopefully this helps you out a ton. I'm not going to do this because it's basically you just watching me do this, and I think you get the idea. Does everybody get the idea first, or do I need to complete this? You get the idea. Good. So I would finish all this, and then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, did I get them from the beginning? Did I get them from the beginning all the way to the end, and did I get them the result that they were wanting from there? That's what I say. And then I say, okay, if I'm not, maybe I need to put in an extra section here. I probably need to put in something on how big of an audience do you need to make a good living? Now, how many of you think I might need to research that? If I just was, I didn't know, maybe I needed a good number. All right, so here's what I do. I go in and I say, I'm not so sure about that one. I'm going to change the font to red. Why did I change the font to red? What do you think? Why did I change the font to red? Because everything that is red, I'm going to go back and research it later. It's a flag for research. So here's what I would do. I would pull it over to the side, pull it off my screen. I would get in research. I would save all those articles that were researched to Evernote. And when I got done and I felt like I had a good grasp on it, I'm going to change it back to black. I'll change it to white there, but you get the idea, right? Everybody good? So I have this little checklist of everything that I need to research, and when I have no more red on my screen, because I'm going to map it all out, no more red, we're good. Now, what could happen as you're doing this process? Could you get through here and be like, you know what, I'm missing a key piece that kind of completes the story. Can you add something as you're going through the mind mapping process to the step-by-step? Of course you can. We just don't want to add stuff when. When do we want to stop adding stuff? As soon as this mind map's done and we have everything researched and we get ready to write, there's no more to research. But let me ask you guys something, and just be real honest with me. By the time you get through the mind map process, do you know in your head whether you've got a good product or not? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because let me ask you something. Not only do these steps blend into each other, but this comes before this, comes before this, comes before this, this comes before this, comes before this, comes before this. So all of these things are stepping into the next thing, and they should play off of each other. So just looking at this map here, you should have an idea whether you forgot a step or not. Am I correct? So before we get done today, does this change the way that you looked at writing and researching? This is sort of the culmination of everything we taught today, because this is what I do, and then that leads me into research. After I've researched the audience initially, of course. But when I'm researching a product, this is where I start. This is where I always start, and then I get into research mode and I go look these things up. Is this going to be the easiest thing that you've ever done? No. But let me ask you something. Who is the real winner in this case when you map products out this way? Who's the real winner? The customer is the winner. And when the customer is the winner because you have a very good step-by-step process that you didn't get lost, and you didn't get lost on tangents and things like that, what does the customer reward you with? Well, not only did they buy your thing, but they came back, right? Now, can I teach you one more thing before we get off today? Because you may not have realized what we just did here, but I want to show you something that is going to come back around here in a couple of weeks that you were going to thank me for. let me pull this up because this is going to be fun. Let me get this pulled up real quick. Let me find a good, let's go to, I want you guys to watch this because this is just a preview. We were just learning how to research and write today, right? How to do the research and how to start thinking about writing. But I want to show you something because this is so important. Let me get to this page so I can pull it up. This is going to take us to a webinar page. And of course, I don't have the link here. Give me a sec. I can find us a link here. You're going to start understanding how I work so fast here in about 2 seconds. Okay? Here in about 2 seconds, everything starts to make a whole hell of a lot more sense. Make sure this comes up. 99. Okay. When I'm listing out on the sales page for this product that we're going to get down to in a little bit, what am I just doing here? What am I doing? Here's section 1, here's section 2, here's section 3, here's section 4. What am I really doing? Who had a light bulb just now? So everything that we just covered is this, and when we get into the little things that make up the chapter, we're just covering all the cool things that are here and sort of telling why they're important, aren't we? So the sales page gets really stinking easy when you've done what? When you've done what does the sales page get insanely easy?